Harsin versus Reporter. Fight!
Go. All right, go. There you go, War Eagle.
KO.
Welcome back, Tiger fans, to Infinite Auburn. And the first story I want to talk about today is one that made the rounds on Twitter recently, and that is because Bryan Harsin decided to offend everybody, every reporter out there, by doing something so scandalous that it will shock everyone watching this video. He decided he was going to walk up to the reporters and throw hats at them. Can you believe it? Okay, one thing I will say is I get it. It can be seen as a little unprofessional because the reporters do want to feel like they are unbiased. They're trying to give the news. They're trying to report on teams. And so they do try to not wear team gear of teams that they are reporting on, teams that they cover. I get all that. I think some people just kind of blew this one out of proportion. The guy, he's new to Auburn. He's just trying to be a part, it's his team. He's just trying to be a part of the culture. He's trying to be excited about it. And I think people just blew this way out of proportion and made it a bigger deal than it had to be. Should he have done it? Maybe not. But some of the reactions I saw on Twitter were just ridiculous. People acting like, this is the most unprofessional thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, come on, guys, it's a hat. If you don't want the hat, just set it down. Don't act like it's a huge deal. You don't have to put it on your head right then. He's just trying to be nice. It was just a nice gesture. He thought he was doing something good. I don't think he was even thinking about what he was doing, really. He was just trying to pass out a hat. I do want to read one of the reactions that I thought was the most ridiculous that I saw on Twitter. Probably the biggest snowflake reaction I've seen. And I won't say the name. I'll cut out the name. You probably have already seen who it is, but I'm not going to say the name, but I am going to read the full quote. Okay, this is what one reporter decided to say about this incident. I've covered pro and college sports for 11 years, and I've never seen anything like that. Any professional journalist knows wearing gear of a team you cover is unprofessional, if not unethical. Accordingly, the teams I've covered have known better than to put us in that spot. Put you in that spot? So the spot is they handed you a hat, they tossed a hat to you, and you don't know what to do with it. You've got it, and you don't know what to do with this hat. Look, just take it, and you can be like, hey, thanks, and set it to the side. Problem solved. You don't have to put the hat on. I get that it's not the most professional thing. I'm not trying to argue that it is. What I am trying to say is that there are people who way overreacted to this. Just take the hat, set it to the side, give it to somebody else. It doesn't matter, but don't act like it's the most unethical, unprofessional thing you've ever seen a college coach do, because that is just flat out ridiculous. Now I'm going to shift gears to a much sadder news stories that we had come out in the Auburn family this week, and that was the passing of Craig Ogletree. He's a former linebacker for Auburn, and we got the news this week. On Monday, it was reported that Craig Ogletree passed away from complications with COVID-19, and he was only 53 years old. This was a tragic story, and I can't imagine what his family's going through right now. If you don't know who Craig Ogletree was, I'm going to read just a little bit about him. This is not going to be my commentary. This is just some statements that were put out about Craig from his family and from some other sources. But, Craig was an All-American linebacker with Auburn. He was co-captain of Auburn's 1989 team. They were SEC champions. And Craig led, here's a few stats for you because I know you guys like to hear stats on any Auburn player. Ogletree led the Tigers with 11 sacks in 1989. Of his 113 tackles that year, 14 were behind the line of scrimmage. And Ogletree contributed, this is one of his biggest on-the-field accomplishments, he contributed to 3 straight Auburn SEC championships from 1987 to 1989. Here's my favorite quote that I read about Craig Ogletree. He was a beast on the field, but he was a gentle giant. He truly cared about making life better for other folks. I think that just says a lot about the guy. He could get after it on the football field, but he was just a kind spirit, a kind soul, and all around he just sounds like a great guy. If you didn't know, he also spoke at the request of the Dye family. He spoke at Pat Dye's funeral in 2020, and this is just all around. It's a sad story, sad situation, and our thoughts and our prayers go out to Craig's family. Once you're in the Auburn family, you're always in it, and we'll be thinking about you and praying for you. Next up, we have a story about an Auburn player transferring out and entering the transfer portal. We don't know where he's going yet, but this is Tyrique Truesdale. So on Tuesday, we got this quote from Bryan Harsin. As of right now, he is not part of this football team, and that's where we stand at this point. Later on, he was asked, or in a follow-up question, he was asked if there's any chance of seeing Truesdale come back. And this is what he had to say. He's not on our team. So he made it as clear as possible. Truesdale is not coming back. There's not a chance. I don't know what happened exactly. I've heard some speculation, but I don't want to report on that until I've heard something for sure. But what we do know is that Truesdale is gone, and he officially entered the transfer portal on Wednesday, and that was reported by someone from On3, and I'll put that tweet up on screen. So with the news of Truesdale leaving, that leaves us with a couple of questions. The first question is, one, where is Truesdale going to end up? And two, who is going to fill that position, that opening that he leaves behind? Because he has been a starter for the past 2 years. And so for that last question, who is going to fill that position that Truesdale is leaving open? Personally think it's going to be Tony Fair. We've been hearing a lot about him during this offseason and during fall camp. We've already started hearing some about him. And so I think there's a good chance that Tony Fair is going to be the guy to fill that opening left by Truesdale. The next question is, where is Truesdale going? Because anytime somebody leaves, even though it doesn't affect us anymore, we do like to hear where they go. My personal prediction is I think he's going to end up at UCF. I feel like Gus is still working on some things behind the scenes, trying to pull some of his guys to be with him. I could be completely off base and wrong on that, but based on other things we've seen and other players we've seen transfer to UCF with him, looking at you, Big Cat, I think that there is a chance Truesdale is going to end up at UCF when everything is said and done. But we'll see what happens once everything is official. My final story today is on the quarterback battle between Bo Nix and TJ Finley, and this is something we've been keeping an eye on since TJ Finley came on campus. A lot of fans were not happy with Bo Nix last season and his play, and there's been a lot of speculation on if he is going to be the starter. I'm not going to get into that just yet, but what I do want to talk about is this battle that's happening between Bo Nix and TJ Finley. When Bo Nix was asked about TJ Finley, this is what he had to say. Yeah, TJ obviously was a good transfer for us. He's a big, strong guy with a good arm and a fast release. I've just done everything I can to help him learn the offense because I know how it was for me at the beginning. I know the type of offense that he came from. So it's going to be a little different for him. We've also seen some video of TJ Finley in fall camp, and it does seem like he's making some accurate passes. He's really, if you look at the spiral on the throws he's making, it's really solid. But Harsin was also asked about TJ Finley, and this is what he had to say. I think TJ, from the summertime since he's been here, has picked up quite a bit, Harsin said. He's learning the details of the position, and both guys are doing a good job. There's a high standard for that position daily. It's not just in the game. So I know Harsin has said that every position is a battle, every position is a competition. And this is personally where I still am with the quarterback position. Bo Nix is going to be the starter. I have no doubt about that in my mind. When we get to the Akron game, Bo Nix will be the one taking the field first. The question still remains for me, what happens at the Penn State game and what happens after the Penn State game? That is the turning point. We will know a lot about Bo Nix. We will know a lot about TJ Finley. And I think either at that game or after that game, we will know who the starter is for the rest of the football season. But when we start That first game, the guy is going to be Bo Nix. I do think it's going to be a competition, but Bo Nix is going to stay on top. But let's keep watching. Let's see what happens. I read a few quotes to you about what others had to say about TJ Finley, but if you want to see what he has to say himself, I actually did an interview with TJ Finley, Sean Shivers, and Smoke Monday that you can watch, and I will go ahead and put a link to that video somewhere over here. So click on that video when you see it if you've not watched that interview already. I hope you liked this video today. If you did, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content, and I will see you in the next one.